Good morning, coffee moaners. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How is everyone? Welcome to Coffee Moaning. If you're watching on YouTube, you can listen on podcast. If you're listening on podcast, remember you can always watch on YouTube. We play in lots of clips. We throw up lots of headlines, not like as in vomit, but we throw onto screen lots of headlines. So it's quite a audio visual feast. So if you fancy having all your senses, bar touch, kind of titified, stimulated, then come over to YouTube. If you fancy just to being audibly assaulted and moaned at, then listen on podcast and hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, let it say all. We forever, in our own round the kitchen table fashion, like to hold a torch or a fire, not only to the feet of the authorities and the system, but to the media that's forever trying to con us. And it's a safe place, well, relatively safe as anywhere can be on any kind of social media platform for you to share in your feelings, share in your frustrations. It's like group therapy. Isn't it interesting? Years ago in rehab, group therapy for me was the aspect of it that I just wished and wanted everyone to be able to have and indulge in and engage in. And it's nothing more than a group of, back then, junkies and addicts being guided by three counselors who are themselves in recovery, junkies and alkies, and we try to unpack issues, experiences, fears, regrets. And the great thing was you had those three sober people with years of experience who would help guide you towards perhaps where you were lying to yourself or a little bit misguided. I see the reason I'm going into the detail of what a group therapy session is like in rehab is that's what you guys are like, guys. That's what this is like. That's what this has become. And of course, we welcome and we would like people of contrary political opinions to wade in and share their thoughts in a respectful manner. But it strikes me that many people who don't agree with us politically aren't particularly polite. But if they are, then this is a broad church. We are here for you. We love challenges. We love questions. We love inquiries. We love nuzzling around the news. Christopher Cundall in Sydney there. Morning, Mark. I hope you're well, mate. Sending you lots of love and big hugs. I often feel like you're my big brother on the other side of the world, and I feel like you're my brother on the other side of the world too. You all feel like fucking just family. No, they get blocked quite quick by me, says Musical Jim. Hi, Zoe. Sending you love, sweetie. Yeah, I know, again, hopefully we touched upon some of the issues I know that are fucking pulling you down, sweetie, at the moment yesterday. Just sending you a big hug. Russ, we're all family. I feel like we need to sing the Sister Sledge. Is it Sister Sledge? I think it's Sister Sledge. Don't sing any Stevie Wonder, because Stevie Wonder was on Epstein's blacklist for being anti-Israel. And what was the reason for him being anti-Israel? He didn't want to perform for the IDF. Wow. So what are we talking about this morning? We're talking about the shit show that is Keir Starmer. Oh, it's all change, mind the gap, change. Let's make crystal clear. I knew nothing about what Mandelson said. Mandelson lied to me, and I believed him because he was a great liar. Is that what we're being told? Is that basically Starmer's defense? Mandelson lied to me, and Mandelson was a great liar. Really? So we're going to talk, yes, more about Keir Starmer. The feeling, the febrile nature of the headlines knocking about is that he could be going, if not soon, then certainly this year. I want to talk about something that in the title, there was no other neat way. I kind of munched this way, I tugged that way, and all the rest of it. Palantir. This is an ostensibly American, but Israeli sympathetic and used and connected tech company that deals with the harvesting of data, the provision of data in the use of military, health hardware, health organizations, etc., etc. It's incredibly powerful. It's incredibly technical, but do not turn off. We don't need to know anything more than that, other than it's an incredibly influential, technologically, think of it like a sort of far-reaching company / data harvesting, connecting, strategizing company that can feed into the darker, deepest recesses of organizations like the NHS. Because I'm telling you now, Palantir is at the heart of this Mandelson affair, this Mandelson cover-up, this Mandelson story. Starmer is at the heart of it. Palantir is at the heart of it. Israel is once again at the heart of it, because Palantir software, its software is just a platform. We develop solutions on it. We have sovereignty of the code and data. Anyway, regardless, Palantir, we might say we have guardrails, we have rail guards, all the rest of it. But the problem with Palantir, and the fear and the feeling amongst people, is that it is politically aligned. It is connected with the IDF's use of its technology in the murder and genocide of Palestinians. And it's also technology that's used by ICE. And as we know, those of us who aren't tech savvy, but have an instinct and a human feeling, not an automated feeling, we know or fear and worry when things can maybe be used officially and correctly at the moment, but could end up being used for other matters and in untoward ways in the future. So I want to talk about Starmer, Mandelson, and the Israeli and the Palantir meeting, the odd moment when Mandelson went out, became the ambassador to America, and wow, curiously, as soon as he became ambassador, Starmer was out there shaking the hand of that weird kind of boffin type. What's his name? The one with the wild hair, who, with all due respect, looks like he's on every conceivable drug. Looks like, I'm not saying he is, looks like and behaves like he's on every conceivable drug in the world. I'm just wanted to find out what's the name of the Alex Karp. Alex Karp. And of course, data wrangling, data harvesting, data vulnerability isn't something that's just exclusive to Palantir, but it's a little bit like in the data world, I imagine. It's the same encroaching, Zionist, sympathetic, Israeli sort of aligned evolution of technology, and its reach is reaching into corners of organizations and industries that is worrisome in much the same way that Dave Ellison and Larry Ellison, in their buying of TikTok and in their buying of Paramount and in their kind of trying to sort of suggest it's a bad deal that Netflix are buying Warner Brothers, we have an assault on our freedom of speech and countless platforms of communication and journalism, and countless organizations are being left potentially vulnerable and compromised by their use and by the control of these organizations by companies that are directly, specifically Israeli supporting, genocide enabling, ICE enabling. So we've got to be careful. We've got to understand that that can't be good. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to talk again more about the fact that the media is just barefacedly lying to the British population and the American population. But let's talk about British media. So the British media is actively circumnavigating around the Israeli Zionist aspect to the Epstein files. They are steadfastly and resolutely only focusing on the Russian connection, because that's the only narrative they want everyone to fill. They want Epstein to be only a KGB. And this is rumbling on for days. We're still, from respected journalists such as Andrew Marr trotting out the same jaundiced, completely fucking fictionalized, agendarized narrative around the Epstein files. So we're going to talk about that. And we're also going to talk about Trump's very, very unsubtle plans to wreck the American midterm elections. So a lot to talk about, Reece Starmer. So Starmer, I think, absolutely needs to go, doesn't he? Let's have a look at, I just want to draw some other connections over here. So we've got, let me just, where's the NHS thingy-diggy-dig? Right, here we go. Look, this was posted a few days ago. NHS England, let's start here. Why is the Israel-linked surveillance firm embedded in Britain's NHS? The UK government is facing growing pressure over awarding large contracts to Palantir Technologies, a US-based data and AI company. Partially funded by the CIA at its inception, Palantir received £250 million NHS England contract in 2023 and it's up for renewal in 2027. In December, it was awarded a $250 million Ministry of Defense deal, triple the size of the 2022 contract. Palantir partnered with the Ministry of Defense in September, pledging $1.5 billion to boost military AI and develop a so-called kill chain to strike enemy targets. This growing presence in both healthcare and defense has raised alarm among campaigners, citing ties to US immigration forces and Israeli military operations. British MPs and medical groups have expressed concern. Organisations like the Doctors Association and the British Medical Association oppose the NHS contract, which would create a federated data platform to centralise patient information for analysis. While the FDB could improve healthcare efficiency, critics question whether Palantir is the right partner, given its links to surveillance and intelligence operations. Sorry, forgive me for being a bit fucking human for a minute. Forgive me for being a bit human. I don't want to go down the route of what Palantir could be useful for in an ideal, perfect world devoid of political persuasions and genocidal intentions. I want to talk about what Palantir has clearly become involved in and how much further down the line, I find that the most egregious erosion of civil liberties, data privileges, our rights, and just the ability of these organizations to kind of get so close to you in terms of data, in terms of your life, in terms of your feelings and your politics. Of course, they don't telegraph the idea that they're malevolent and they have untoward intentions. What company would do that? No one would take them on. They come in under the spurious guise of facilitating efficiency, facilitating speed, making it convenient for us all to use an NHS app. And what they work on and gamble on is the idea that all of us numpties sit there going, oh, it's so much easier just doing it with an NHS app. But who's controlling the fucking NHS app? And in 5 years' time, when civilization has completely fucking imploded, who has all that information? Answer me that. Who has the information? Not in the nowness of legitimizing Palantir and saying it's just an AI company, which could actually be useful. What about when the wheels come off? What about when reform get in? And let's not forget, Farage has talked at great length about wanting to privatize, emulate the insurance-led health system of America. So let's say we have a reform government, and then they have Palantir operating the NHS. Will this data, how do we guarantee, given its involvement with ICE, given its involvement with the IDF, how can we ever guarantee that the data that Palantir is dealing with in the NHS isn't used to identify migrants, immigrants, people of racial profiling, political profiling, maybe one day? Why is this so staggering and kind of sort of dystopian to consider, given it's all fucking happening already? Discuss. What about when the data is hacked? When you have a company, I would argue, like Palantir, you don't need your data to be hacked. This is how you get around things. We are now in an age where there are companies, I'm not saying this is what Palantir do, but companies like Palantir, whose mission statement could be this: we stop all hacking. And they're probably right. And why do they stop all hacking? Because they're the fucking hackers. Because they're the fuckers that you don't want to have your fucking data. That's how they stop hacking. Then the black market of hacking for data details beyond the obvious kind of financial scams that lone wolves are constantly pursuing. When these untoward companies have your data, of course they successfully stop the hacking because they're the fucking hackers. They're working for the people who want your information. And this isn't fucking sat in a hole in a garden, prepping for the end of the world shit. This is all entirely feasible. And if we have people like the British Medical Association and organizations saying, no, this isn't right, then why should we ignore them? Why are we ignoring them? I don't understand. Oh, hang on. What do I hear coming down the fucking line? Palantir NHS. Palantir works with ICE in America. Palantir works with the IDF. Palantir in our NHS. Palantir had its first meeting with Starmer when Mandelson was appointed as American ambassador in America. Oh, now it's all making sense. Palantir's DC office. Here's a photograph of Keir Starmer shaking the hand of Alex Karp. The timeline, says Ethan Schoen, of Labour's relationship with Palantir is fascinating. Palantir is a client of Mandelson's lobbying firm Global Counsel. Oh, Mandelson knows Palantir. So Mandelson knows Palantir. Oh, that's neat. After entering government in July, not a single Labour minister met with Palantir in any capacity until the 28th of February 2025 with Starmer's first US visit, weeks after Mandelson took up his US ambassadorial role. But since then, Palantir has met with 8 cabinet ministers and significantly increased its government contracts, which leads to the question, who at the health ministry has a possible connection with Palantir? Oh, hang on a minute. Look what I found. Thank you, Owen Jones. Wes Streeting posted, oh, look, it's my mum's new mate back in 2015, Peter Mandelson on the telly. Mum, a big, big lefty, loved him today. Photograph of Mandelson hugging Wes Streeting's mum. Oh, there's Wes Streeting standing alongside Mandelson. We've only gone and got Peter Mandelson out on the Ilford North campaign trail. Oh, Wes Streeting is a very close associate of Peter Mandelson, says Owen Jones. His partner worked for Mandelson, but Streeting was very close to him regardless. Streeting was and is Mandelson's choice for Labour leader. Oh, Palantir, NHS, Wes Streeting, Starmer didn't know. Oh, everyone's lying, everyone's lying, everyone's lying, big long nose, everyone's lying. What don't they want us to know? It's all so fucking obvious. This isn't, come on. Come on. And now, what? It's all a fucking sham. It's a shameful, I don't care about this, well, we don't, the problem is the system, our government, the American government and the media forever try and keep anyone saying strong, definitive or defining strong, definitive connections between these dots to join as, oh, it's supposition. You can't make those you can't allege this. That's why the whole spurious fucking defense of Israeli foreign policy has been shrouded by and protected by the idea, well, if you say that, it's an anti-Semitic trope. So any criticism, any acknowledgement, any identification, any legitimacy to any investigation that demonstrates that there are huge, obvious conflict of interest connections between British MPs, Israeli sympathetic and ICE sympathetic organizations, and our government, that when you draw those connections, it's like, oh no, conspiracy. You've got nothing to confirm that by. No, that's your fucking job, journalists, but you're not doing it. No journalists in this country in the mainstream media are doing their job. I was saying to Nads the other day, whether it be the showbiz columns where Nadia gets new hairstyle, some love it, some hate it. Oh, who? Oh, they've just lifted the quotes from fucking social media. Oh, wow, that's journalism. So they describe something they see, and then they copy and paste pro and anti comments. This is exactly what happens on the fucking, in the Times, the Telegraph and everywhere else, except in the Telegraph and the Times, they give it a more direct skew in their obvious direction of traffic, which is right wing. It's just so shocking. It really is. So I just want to play you Zach Polanski of the Green Party. He says it brilliantly.
Serious consequences. So Palantir, this is the spy tech firm, $260 million last month, the biggest defense budget in UK history. That was lobbied by Global Counsel, which was Peter Mandelson's lobbying group, alongside Wes Streeting, the health secretary, close friend of Peter Mandelson. I've written to the health secretary today to say we have to break that contract. It also has crucial data on our healthcare system. So the idea that this defense company from the US has its fingerprints all over our healthcare system alongside Peter Mandelson is a whole range of questions that need answers urgently.
And who trusts? Who trusts? Because, of course, you know, the Labour MPs say, hang on, where's the article? Sorry, let me just find the piece. Here we go. Mandelson files. Okay, so you know, they've said Starmer's really, you know, relented. They're going to have to publish more files, and the files that he was worried about publishing for fear of endangering our national fucking security. This is the bit that really gets me. Starmer, the genocide charmer, standing there pretending that he can't share everything he knew about Mandelson because it might endanger our national security, right? He doesn't think that his tacit, unspoken and spoken support of a genocidal regime has actually endangered or damaged our national security, or is a threat to our national security. Is he stark, raving, fucking stupid? This government has single-handedly, in their go slow and palpable support and refusal to condemn what Israel have done, has made the entire world unsafe because it's completely disrupted any sense or comprehension of international law. So this idea that not showing you everything in the Mandelson files will somehow jeopardize national security is a totally spurious spun con. That said, he was pushed by various measures and votes. Not Yvette, what's her name? Oh, Angela Lansbury, I always want to call her. Angela, what's her name? Angela Rayner? You know, they forced a vote so that all the files will have to be discussed, but they will be discussed within government by the Intelligence and Security Committee. And the head of the Intelligence and Security Committee, so this is a place in government, in Parliament, where stuff that us mere civilians are too nervous or incapable of comprehending or understanding, because it might make us all fucking vulnerable to the fucking wild west of the world. We're most vulnerable to the one single thing Starmer has done to make the our national safety or security incredibly vulnerable is cozying up to fucking Trump. We are so vulnerable. Not because of Mandelson and not releasing the files. Anyway, this committee, another fucking committee, men in fucking ties again, tying things up in knots. The men in this committee insist. Apparently, we should trust, who is it? Lord Beamish. Lord Beamish insists. Lord Beamish, you know, that great House of Parliament, the Lords, you know, where Mandelson's had to kind of not be a lord anymore. So Lord Beamish says that don't worry, you know, we will absolutely publish documents even if they're embarrassing to number 10. Okay, but will you? I have no trust that this committee will publish findings or information that confirms our compromised position with regards to Israeli intelligence, Israeli foreign policy, and the American conjunction within that too. I think if anything is thrown up in any of this examination that illustrates or reveals how compromised we are, how beholden we are to Israeli intelligence, I don't think it'll be published. They're looking for a way to make this a Mandelson problem, and lots of people want Starmer gone in the Labour Party, and a Starmer problem, but they will not publish everything. And the reason we know they won't publish anything if it speaks to any issues with Israel is you just have to look at our mainstream media to illustrate how our mainstream media and the entire system has been, it's not an anti-Semitic trope, this is an anti-Israel Zionist fact, has been entirely compromised and entirely infiltrated. News Cord does a great breakdown of the coverage of this. The media buries Epstein's ties to Israel and attempts to blame Russia. Our analysis reveals a severe systematic suppression of coverage about Epstein's close ties to Israel based on the latest files released by the US DOJ. Total articles published, 344. Israeli mentions, 27. Libya mentions 2. Russia mentions 13. So there are twice as many mentions of Israel as there are Russia. But look at the coverage here is article count and Israel mention rate by news outlet. The Guardian, 27 articles, none on Israel, none on Russia. BBC, 19 articles, only 5% about Israel, 5% about Russia. CNN, 14 articles, 21%. For example, The Guardian has published 27 articles about the Epstein files. There is not a single mention of Israel or Epstein correspondence with the former occupation PM, Ehud Barak. And The Guardian is a paper that I lean into quite a bit for its sort of sense of kind of objectivity. But I've noticed it hasn't once queried the received wisdom or the received facts that have come through the Epstein files. I haven't seen a single mainstream media outlet publish the story or the quote that says Trump has been compromised by Israel. And that's how and why we know that this spurious fucking committee that the Mandelson files will head off to may well bring Starmer down, may well bring this government down. But you can rest assured that the only thing in this country that is truly protected and the only thing in America that is truly protected is the Zionist project of Israel, threaded through everything. And we are forced into corners, told to shut up for fear of being called anti-Semitic. That day has come and gone. Thankfully, the sort of apartheid of South Africa is a phrase that sort of, when you hear apartheid in South Africa, you think of the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. It's a sort of bygone era. And I'm afraid what Netanyahu's done to the idea that, by calling out the way in which Israeli intelligence, the Israeli regime have threaded their way into every single other Western country's kind of governance and media, it's tired, it's old, it's too old-fashioned. You're past it, we're past it. Okay, the mainstream media won't go there, but the mainstream media is actually dying on its feet. And deservedly so. So thank God Zach Polanski is pulling this up. This Palantir connection is at the heart of this. But you can rest assured that this spurious fucking committee, where Lord Beamish, yes, absolutely. Even if it's embarrassing for Starmer, we're going to publish everything. What about if it's embarrassing for Israel? Computer says no. Computer says no. They think we're all fucking fools, and the vast majority of people are fools. I'm sick of it. I said the other day on one of our lives, so many people are fucking stupid and selfish. Stupid and selfish. Those two categories account for so many people. A willful, and even if they're not that stupid, it's a willful stupidity. I'd rather be ignorant than stupid. Oh, these people who get their knickers in a twist. Oh, how lovely just to be able to wander into a coffee shop and get your coffee and not think about it at all. Morgan McSweeney. Morgan McSweeney. So Starmer's chief of staff. Best buddies with fucking Mandelson. Just like Wes Streeting. Fuck off, Wes Streeting. Sorry. You are utterly compromised. You are also complicit. But Morgan McSweeney, yeah. I tell you exactly what's going to happen with Morgan McSweeney. Morgan McSweeney is the last line of defense to save Starmer's bacon. They haven't fired him yet because they're going to wait for the total kind of transparency of Lord Beamish's, Lord Beamish's, God almighty, this stupid fucking Intelligence and Security Committee. So once Lord Beamish, Beamish by name, Beamish by nature, once he's published nothing of any note that's critical of anyone other than just Starmer and just Mandelson, at that point, Morgan McSweeney will be thrown in front of the bus. And that will be thought, he'll be the last sacrifice. It will be the last Starmer sacrifice as he goes, sorry, Morgan, you're going to have to go. I'm just going to push you in front of that bus, number 48. And he'll push him. And that might not be enough. But if we had any proper fucking journalism, we can't rely on The Guardian because they haven't even mentioned the Israel connection in the files. This is where everyone's compromised, you see. Not even The Guardian can we trust or hope or feel or maybe. The only paper, actually, interestingly, the only paper that stepped into the totally gruesome discomfort of it all, and it wasn't the Israel aspect of it, was the Mirror was willing to talk about the appalling facts of what Trump had done. The literal disgustingness of what Trump is accused of doing in some of the cross exchanges. Accused. It's not proven. Accused. It's the only paper that's but there's still not a single publication referencing Israel. Ironically, CNN in that list is the one that comes top. So, you know, we can't trust the media to step towards this story because if they haven't yet, they're not going to. If they haven't yet, they're not going to. And we need Zach Polanski beating this drum. We need independent media beating the drum. Palantir controlling the NHS, inextricably entwined within our military intelligence. This is bad. This is bad. However much, I know, Mitchell, you're expert in this area, but however much anyone can say, well, there are all sorts of guardrails and all sorts of kind of provisions to, yeah, but all things can change, right? All things can change. And things are changing. I get very nervous about Palantir, an Israeli sympathetic and ICE sympathetic organization, having access to our NHS and our army with a reform government coming into power. God only knows what guardrails will come off when that happens. Frightening. So here's some of the headlines. Sack McSweeney now. Labour MPs tell Starmer. Prime Minister on the ropes after Mandelson fiasco. Rayner leads revolt against Starmer. Planned release of Mandelson files descends into chaos. Disowned by his MPs, despised by the public. Starmer must know the game is up. History might look back on February the 4th as the day his departure became inevitable. Starmer up against it over Mandelson's Epstein links. The PM has been urged to sack Morgan McSweeney. And again, the way this will play out with Lord Beamish's committee, Lord Beamish, they will only lean into in that if there's any way to have to, if they're going to focus on the Mandelson, lie, what did Starmer know, not know, how corrupt was Mandelson, tell us you're a spy without telling us you're a spy. We already can tell from our mainstream media that the line this government will use as they come out of Lord Beamish's committee is he was a KGB operative. This is the only permitted narrative. The only permitted narrative in this country regarding Mandelson is that he is a Russian KGB asset potentially, or that Epstein was only working for the KGB. The fact that Epstein is referenced twice as many times as working for Israel and for Mossad, it's so bent and corrupt, the coverage of this. It's a good point, YouTube. All diplomats are spies, which is why it's so amazing that we're pretending Israel doesn't spy. I mean, if you were to believe our media, and this is one of the other problems when me and Nadia are forever bemoaning the fact that, it's like, hang on, why do we keep going about Russia and China as sworn enemies? It's because these absolute fucking muppets at the top of government still walk around with, well, Israel's our ally. Israel is our ally. America is our ally. No, they're not. They're self-serving like America. Totally self-serving. Will throw us under the bus as quick as Starmer will throw McSweeney under the bus once Lord Beamish comes back from his committee meeting. Every time I hear politicians say they're going to have a security committee or a committee, I think all they're going to do is they're going to just wash the facts. They're going to redact. They're going to edit. They're going to curate, and they're going to cut, and they're going to land in the public realm only what the system wants them to. Let's have a little listen to Starmer yesterday, and look at his hand that's leaning against the table. Some outlets trying to make much of the fact that he was shaking. Was he shaking with rage or fear? Let's have a look.
Mr. Speaker, let me reassure the House, Mr. Speaker. Let me reassure the House that the process for deciding what falls into those categories will not be a political process. It will be led by the Cabinet Secretary, supported by government legal teams.
Oh, yawn off. I mean, let's just pause for a minute. I can't wait for change. I really can't wait for change. He promised it, and we're going to get it soon. Change. Please change him. I'm so sick and tired of him being seriously concerned, forever seriously concerned. Labour MPs say Starmer's days as PM are numbered amid fury over Mandelson. So this isn't going to go away, but it also isn't going to resolve itself in the way that I think it ought to. And I think, again, Polanski's on the money. I'm pleased he's stepped out with this. I'm pleased he's pushing focus onto Palantir. Everyone just needs to keep saying Palantir to everyone until they're blue in the face, that everyone gets sick to death of Palantir. Palantir, Palantir, Palantir. Let's have a listen to James O'Brien. He's always good for a bit of a rant on Starmer.
Can you cling on to Keir Starmer now? Can you really hold on to the hope? This is unforgivably stupid. Even knowing what we already know, it's unforgivably stupid what he's done. And it might be much worse than that.
Stupid. You know what? Sometimes the word stupid is underused. Stupid is really effective. There are so many fucking stupid people running this country, running the world, who think we're stupid. And unfortunately, the vast majority of countries' populations go, yeah, I'll be a bit stupid. I'm a bit stupid. They told me I'm stupid, so I'll be stupid. But actually, they're the stupid ones. They're fucking stupid. You just pay a little bit of attention. You go, oh, my God, what are you all up to?
Worse than that. A director of public prosecutions whose reputation was in many ways built on protecting women and girls. And he put a man who was a pal of a paedophile in the Washington embassy. Is this the biggest muck-up yet for Keir Starmer?
I think it's more sinister than that. I think he was put in there to secure the deal, further deals with Palantir. I think Mandelson was over there, not just to spy in a diplomatic way that all diplomats do. I like what you say there, Mithu. I think Mandelson was strategically placed over there to indirectly feather our nest with tech companies. I mean, let's not forget there was the whole kind of promise, wasn't there, of kind of tariff incentives for us or the UK around tech, et cetera, et cetera. That deal was pulled off the table as fast as it was put on the table. I think it's much more sinister. And we've got this awful, unedifying situation where once again, unfortunately, there's a lot of people in our government and in the House of Commons and in our system that wants rid of Starmer and Starmer's regime. But they ain't people who are themselves at all concerned or worried about our leaning into and our connection with and us being complicit in everything that Israel and America does. So it doesn't, it's like all those people who want Netanyahu out in Israel also want Palestinians killed. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily follow that just because they're anti-Starmer or anti-Netanyahu that they're nice, or that they're even in any way vaguely interested in revealing the truth of our inextricable entwinedness with Israel and everything else. We've talked about this. Starmer up against it over Mandelson links. The PM has been urged to sack. So Morgan McSweeney will definitely go. He's the last literal, metaphorical here, not literal. He's the last metaphorical body bag that will be thrown at the media, at the establishment to try and maintain Starmer's survival. But I also think that the truth, what we are going to be told out of Lord Beamish's Security Committee is that it's Russia, Russia, Russia. It's all Russia, Russia, Russia. That's all it's going to be. It's Russia, Russia, Russia. A couple of other things I just want to share with you actually as well. So many things come through. Emails appear to confirm that the photo of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and Virginia Giffey was real. Funny that, isn't it? What a surprise. That's intriguing. Where's this? Oh yeah, this was telling. Zayn Malik is named in the Epstein emails as an anti-Israel celebrity. I just want to speak to another alleged anti-Semitic trope, which we've been on the receiving end of, this anti-Zionist fact, or Zionist fact, which is if you are outspoken against the Zionist, white supremacist, colonialist, fascistic regime in Israel, you are somehow punished behind the scenes, indirectly, brands disappear, all this kind of stuff. Well, look, in the Epstein files, Zayn Malik is named in Epstein emails as anti-Israel. Zayn Malik, Emma Thompson, Penelope Cruz, Stevie Wonder, Roger Waters, and others named in Epstein emails about a group of anti-Israel celebrities. The email was sent in 2014, and it seems to be an article sent to Epstein for his approval. It lists the celebrities whom it accuses of making false accusations against Israel. And then, listen to this bit, which means, but remember, it's an anti-Semitic trope if you say it, and then details their brand endorsements. Those little pesky individuals who like to contact a brand. Do you know that they're... So there's history here. Here's some of the screenshots. I mean, Mitchu, if we go down the rabbit warren of, you can't trust every PDF. Absolutely, of course you can't. But I think once you start to see certain PDFs that are being disseminated by accounts and unfortunately legacy media outlets too, then you can begin to lean into them as perhaps valid. And again, you can go to the Department of Justice's incredibly unwieldy website, I guess is it, or web page. Singer Zayn Malik of the British band One Direction posted the hashtag Free Palestine on his Twitter amid the current conflict. Unlike singer Rihanna, who also posted the hashtag and then deleted it, Malik kept his post online, garnering near 200,000 retweets. I mean, isn't it unedifying and just horrible to know? We know they do it. We know this is happening, that people are being monitored and, oh, we're going to destroy you, and, oh, let's do it from hidden behind. Basically, the Israeli Zionist regime is the biggest bunch of online trolls in the world. Biggest on, absolutely. Trump's DOJ, though, absolutely. I'm just tidying up my panel here because I just don't want to repeat. This is an interesting comment. This is I forget the name of the politician. Barry Gardner. This is Barry Gardner again, alongside Zach Polanski on Newsnight.
This is our manifesto, right? One man, one word: change. Yeah. That's what we promised. That was the whole of what we as the Labour Party promised this country. Change. This looks more like the same.
Should he step down?
I think that he needs to think very hard about what is in the country's best interest,
so yes,
and what is in his party's best interest.
It's a veiled yes.
I also think, unfortunately, Barry Gardner as well. Was he the former head of the Labour Friends of Israel? Not too sure. Look, you're absolutely right. I'm forever and a day not curtailing people we know, but one has to check in triplicate screenshots, comments, unless they're political comment. But you know, the veracity of the original files. If I see something and I go fucking hell, then I do a kind of a lateral search across various other reputable independent journalistic outlets, some obviously that are much smaller, and then I do look to the mainstream media, and more often than not, and this is how the mainstream media and the system manages to keep any analysis or investigative journalism or questioning of what we're being told as a marginalized thing. This is how they've characterized everyone as conspiracy theorists, etc. Is they have a mobster style control of the mainstream narrative, and they can forever and a day characterize anything that you publish or you seize upon or you not notice or you connect as well. That how do you know that? Whereas verify your source. But the weirdest thing is that all mainstream journalists, and me and Nadia know so many who we work with and know, their only verified source is themselves or whatever outlet they work for. And we know that many of those outlets, like the Beeb and ITV and CNN, they just often replicate press releases. So that was Barry Gardner there. I just want to look at this. Here's some other sort of comments on the files. Donald Trump's name appears more often in the Epstein files than Harry Potter's name appears in all 7 Harry Potter books. This has been doing the rounds quite a bit. The Epstein files need to become the Epstein trials, Brittany Bell. Instinctively calling Epstein by his first name here is a huge tell. That was a clip in the Oval Office. I think we showed it the other day, and he says Jeffrey's Island rather than Epstein's Island. Guys, I'm starting to think, I like this. Adam Mockler says, guys, I'm starting to think Epstein was in the Trump files, which is true. This is, I demand to know, Attorney Ryan says, I demand to know, and I've seen this email, this redacted email in many places. I demand to know who the fuck sent this and why Trump's DOJ redacted their name and how we are going to punish this monster. And what it says is, it's an email to Jeffrey Epstein, and it says in the content of the email, thank you for a fun night. Your littlest girl was a little naughty. Yeah. What was that? What was that Todd Blanche, the Deputy Attorney General, said? To party with Epstein isn't illegal. Well, actually, to party with Epstein is illegal if at that party you engage in any kind of lewd behavior with anyone who's been trafficked there or is underage. Just saying. This is interesting. Jeffrey Epstein posted this. This has been around for quite a while. Sent to Larry Summers. Recall, I've told you, I've met. Bear in mind, this has come from Epstein. This is Epstein, who can't convincingly say he's not the devil. He says, I've met some very bad people, none as bad as Trump, not one decent cell in his body. So yes, dangerous. What makes this comment so disturbing is that suggests that Epstein felt he had some decent cells in him. Epstein did. So, you know, what we have to face here is that Trump perhaps is even more unforgivably awful than Epstein. Could that be the fact of it? And he manages to use his sort of, not avuncular, but sort of gurgling and bubbling and farting and, you know, defecating sounds and noise and weaves and nonsense as a way to kind of blur the facts. What's this one I've got here? Oh, that's the Zayn Malik. Yeah. So anyway, moving on. Trump planned to wreck elections. Have a listen to this.
Can't win the 2026 election, so he's putting in place a plan to steal it. That's not hyperbole. That's not conspiracy. He is literally doing it and telling you he's going to do it every single day.
The Republicans should say, we want to take over. We should take over the voting in at least 15 places. The Republicans ought to nationalize the voting.
Let me put the pieces together for you. Just the pieces that have been put down on the table over the course of the past week and a half. The president sends a letter to state officials in Minnesota. He says, I'll be glad to take ICE officials out, but you got to give me control of your voter rolls. This is a key swing state. It's going to have an important gubernatorial election and an even more important Senate election. And Trump is saying, if you give me control of your voter lists, then I'll take the ICE agents out. We have the FBI raid of the voting office in Georgia. They take all these ballots to a place that we still don't know about, and we know exactly what's going to happen here. They're going to take these ballots, they're going to claim that they counted them again, and in fact, Donald Trump won Georgia, and that's going to be used by the president to do what he then told all of us he was going to do on a podcast just a day or two ago. Nationalize elections in key states. He wants the federal government, meaning Donald Trump's MAGA loyalists, to run elections in places like Georgia and Minnesota and probably Pennsylvania and Texas and Maine, anywhere where there's a race that might determine control of the House or the Senate. Over and over and over again, we see in front of our eyes what is happening. Donald Trump is taking the steps to create a pretext to take over state elections. That's what Georgia is about. He's using the power of the federal government to try to compel states to give him control of the elections. That's what Minnesota is about. And he's telegraphing openly what his desire is. That's what he said on the podcast. I want to nationalize elections. He's doing this because he knows in a fair and free election, he will lose. Republicans will lose. He's the most unpopular president, I think, ever. 1 year into a term, the polling today suggests that they're going to get wiped out in the House, so they might lose the Senate as well. He's got a deeply unpopular agenda. And so the only way that he can win, the only way the Republicans can win, is to steal the election. Keep your eyes wide open, because if we don't see clearly what is happening, an attempt to take over elections, to steal and rig elections, then we have no way to stop it.
I really, really wanted to, and that's why I persisted with that clip, Senator Chris Murphy, because he explains it all perfectly. And so when we see and hear, which we are at the moment, Trump saying we'll pull ICE agents out of Minnesota, a sort of what sounds like a lessening of the rhetoric, a reducing of the hostility, all this kind of stuff. Then don't knock homeschooling, Persephone. No public education. Don't knock it. I mean, obviously, in the wrong hands, homeschooling can be used to untoward ends. But I'm also a big fan of challenging the received national curriculum too. But you're right. In the wrong hands and the right hands, how do you manage that? For sure. But I think here's what I think Trump's tried, and what the Trump regime tried. They thought they could trigger a kind of a really neat, when I say neat, I don't mean neat as in, what's happened is not neat, deaths, etc. He wanted to trigger a relatively neat conflict or civil war between agitators, domestic terrorists, and the authorities. They tested that in Minnesota. They tested it. They killed 2 American citizens. Others have died in custody as well. But 2 very high profile, Rennie Good and Alex Pretty. They tested that. It ran away from them. It began to run away. So that was a test. And that's not going to come again. That will come back. We will revisit that test ground. We will re-see in future months ICE agents on the ground. And now what they're doing is they retreated a little bit. They can look like they've responded to public kind of outrage. And then it will just merely be administrative. They will go into counting offices in Georgia. They will seize old ballots. And he will claim, he always talks about how he will have a 4th term as president. The reason he says 4th term is because he considers that the 2nd term he lost to Biden, he should have won. So he will immediately gravitate from being able to say he's done 2 terms to 3 terms because it's so unusual and odd that he had his win taken away from him. He should therefore kind of keep it for the 4th. So, when the midterms happen, they're going to be completely either controlled by ICE or MAGA or Trump in all of the key swing states. I mean, this is literally like in this country, the government, this would be like Starmer sending bother boys and heavies to only those constituencies where it looks like he might lose. I mean, it couldn't be more fucking obvious. And of course, the danger is most people who the huge kind of migrant or 2nd generation migrant or 3rd generation migrant voter in America that would normally vote for the Democrats are probably going to be living in fear of their lives, that when they go to the polling office, ICE are going to be there, as Steve Bannon has told us they will be, and they could be interrogated, they could be challenged, they could be arrested. It's going to be carnage. And I think we will see a repeat of what we saw on the streets of Minnesota around the midterm elections. Oh, here we go. That's what I mean. It would have been nice to have a conversation with you, mate, but you can only use the word shit. So goodbye. Branvan spicy gooty hole, you dirty little fuck. Oh, guys, let's have a listen to. Is this Donald Trump? So we've had a listen to the senator there. Oh, as if this is astonishing. This is absolutely astonishing. Everyone's asking, where are the Democrats? We know Biden supported the Israeli regime. He's as much of a Zionist as Trump. In many regards, I'd say worse, because he pretended he was something else. But look at this, breaking news in America for us all to get not excited about. Kamala Harris reactivates 2024 campaign account and teases an announcement. This is like Marvel Cinematic Universe teasing a trailer for a new film. Look, this is what she posted. Testing, putting in her password for Kamala HQ. Oh, that doesn't work. Project 2025 that doesn't work. Headquarters. Announcement tomorrow. I can't fucking believe it. Is Kamala Harris actually the only fucking choice the Democrats can actually muster? Surely not. And I mean, I'd have thought that Trump et al. And company would be like, yeah, bring it on, bring it back. What? The most useless specimen, the most complicit, non-committal, Zionist appeasing. Fuck off. Is that the best you can come up with, America? So you've got Democrat supporters. You need to vastly, vastly improve upon that. Yeah, MRK40N. So the Democrats want to lose again. Me too. For the Dems to win, they need to ditch Harris, steer well clear of Clinton's and all of it. Of course they do. Why is everyone trapped in some nostalgic fucking obsession with 10, 15 years ago? Obama can go and fucking do one. Anyway, I had some clips of JD Vance, but I don't know if I can stomach that. So I'm not going to do that. Trump. Oh, hang on. Here's Trump.
Of the midterms if Republicans lose control of Congress?
I will if the elections are honest. Look, I want the last one that wants to complain. I just had a great election. They say one of the greatest elections, you will agree, ever. Won all 7 swing states, won 84% of the counties in America. That's why the map is all red. We just had a great election. I believe there was cheating. I think there was cheating.
Well, speaking of counties, what are you doing in Fulton County?
Too big to read.
Speaking of counties, what is happening?
So weird, isn't it? How Trump has got control of everything. He accuses other people of cheating, and he's got so much control of everything. I just want to finally, before I sign off, I just want to mention David Ellison, Paramount CEO, taking a dig at the monopolistic Netflix bid for Warner Brothers in an open letter to UK creatives. Do not trust anything that comes out of David Ellison's mouth. He is another operative for the Israeli Zionist state. They are seeking to control Warner Brothers, just like his father controls TikTok. This is, they're trying to use the argument that companies like Netflix are monopoly. I would rather have a monopoly by a company like Netflix than I would by any IDF supporting fucking company. And the Ellisons, Larry and David, they are both up to their elbows in supporting and promoting the genocide of Palestinians. So, everyone's getting their knickers in a twist, and purists with film are saying things like, oh, but Netflix will be a danger to the theatrical experience. I'm even willing to jeopardize the theatrical experience of cinema to prevent Paramount and the Ellisons taking control of Warner Brothers. I think it shows some real fucking gumption, balls and ovaries of the Warner Brothers executive team to go with the Netflix bid. That's not to say Netflix is honorable or great. All big corporations have their issues, but they are not an entirely compromised stooge outfit for the Israeli agenda. Mel, I wish Gavin Newsom wasn't. They're all fucking Zionists. Chuck Schumer was knocking about the other day saying, I will do everything in my power, don't you worry, to forever deliver aid to Israel. Fucking hell. If you needed proof that Epstein's alive and well, sat in some fucking penthouse near Tel Aviv, and he's just still... The honey trap, Epstein's honey trap, is currently still working. It's so sophisticated, it's happening now. And the Western media and the Western governments are continuing it and allowing it to succeed. Thank you, Michu. Netflix is for far better, way more woke. Absolutely. And I want woke more than I want fucking fascist any day. Okay, guys, that's your lot. As someone said, Laura Lou, it is a lot more expletive when Nads isn't here because I'm not having to kind of worry about offending her. All right, guys, see you later. Something will be landing on the channel later. Take care, guys. Bye.